Hello, 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 hello. Okay, Linda. She said she'll check that. I'm running late. Where are my notes? I am running late, late, late. Hi. Welcome to my live chat. Welcome to Psychology Eats. If you are here for the replay, I am doing a series this month because July is National Awareness for Black and Indigenous. Hey, Linda. Yeah, I'm running late tonight. July is Black Awareness Month for Black and Indigenous people, mental health. And so that is what I'm talking about. I'm hoping to do a live, nightly because there's so much we can talk about when it comes to this subject of mental health and for Black people, Black and Indigenous people. So tonight I'm talking about, the title is Your Trauma is Not My Drama. So what does that mean? Hi, Maureen. Your trauma is not my drama. And so I'm going to break this down. And actually, I got this subject, or decided to kind of build this live around Funky Dineva, actually. Funky Dineva, if you don't know his page, he's a he's a gossiper, blogger, and he has a really big page. He's been on Real Housewives of Atlanta, blah blah blah. But sometimes he does like a car chat. And in his in a car chat about a week ago, he was talking about unlearning negative traits, unlearning negative. Hi, Kia. Hi, Vanny. He was talking about, Funky Dineva was talking about unlearning toxic traits. And so I took that as like, so people come in your life and they bring their unresolved trauma into your life. And then, of course, people who are traumatized or have some unresolved trauma and issues, that can translate into them having a very chaotic life. And so if they are in your life, that means their chaos, their drama becomes your drama. And so how do you, because as Black people, we've already talked about how Black people don't get therapy and don't go into treatment. And sometimes they may depend on the church, they may depend on prayer to change a situation. But we already talked about, faith without work is dead. So even if you can pray about your situation, you still need to put in some work in order to change it, if that's what your goal is. So when I'm talking about not allowing someone else's trauma to become your drama, how do you do that? And first, you got to recognize what what the trauma traits might look like, or toxic traits. So one thing, and this is the list that Funky Dineva gave in his car chat, that I think I'm gonna go kind of through the same list, is unlearning negative behaviors. Right? So you have to unlearn negative behaviors, because you got to be able to see what it is that may not be correct in order to change it. So if you were brought up in a situation where negativity was the norm, right? people cussing each other out, people backstabbing each other, no loyalty. If you grew up in an environment like that, what kind of friend do you think you're going to be? If you watched, for example, maybe you watch your grandmother not speak to her sister for years, or you watch your two aunts share the same man. You watch people gossip in the family about each other. And so you learned all of these negative behaviors. So now you go into a relationship and you bring that type of energy and negativity into your relationships, and then it becomes drama. So when you have all of this unresolved trauma from your life and you introduce it to someone else, you make it drama for them. And how do you undo those negative traits so that you don't continue to bring that negativity from generation to generation to generation? And so really that is the topic for tonight. Let me get my laptop open so I can see your, okay, let me turn my voice down. Give me a second. Give me a second. So yes, that's what I'm talking about. Breaking the cycle. Yes, Maureen, breaking the cycle. That's what Funky Dineva was talking about in his own life, how he needed to break the cycle. He said he didn't realize how many bad habits he had until he went to therapy. And so now you get into these relationships with people, and I don't even care if it's a relationship online, just trying to, have relationships with people, even through the computer. And you see this throughout YouTube. For those of us who are content creators, or if you're just a viewer, you see when different relationships break down, even on YouTube, even when people aren't even in the same city with each other and don't even really know each other, and their relationships implode or they have disagreements. Oftentimes it's because you're trying to build a relationship with somebody who's toxic. They got their own issues. And now they're trying to have a relationship with you, and it just crashes. It crashes. So not only do we see that, and you gotta, kind of understand that with people, even if it's the internet relationship or if it's a real relationship that you're trying to have in your life, you got to be able to identify what are your toxic traits that you may be bringing into a relationship that you learn from your parents or from your family or whoever was the influence in your life. Another one he talked about was poor financial information, poor finances. And so we know as Black people, we didn't always have the opportunity to learn about finances. And one thing about in a lot of Black families, the children are not taught about money. How many of you, and if you have kids, discuss money with your kids, or tell your kids, this is how much this costs. The mortgage is this, our electric is this, so if we're not teaching our kids about finances, when are they going to learn? Your first teacher has to be in the home. So I know my parents never talked about money, never discussed money with us as children. And because of that, all through, I have two sisters, we all made that bad financial decisions early in our life. When we first was making money, we didn't make good financial decisions because we were not taught about money. Yeah, we had a little bank account, that you start when you're a little kid, but we didn't know, oh, you get paid, you're supposed to pay this, you got to pay that. Things cost money. That was a taboo subject. And I know for other Black people that I know from my era, that was the same thing with them. They were not taught about money. So now you're an adult and you bring that unlearned behavior into a relationship, and now there's conflict. There's conflict because you don't really know how to handle money. Maybe your partner does not know how to handle money, and then that becomes an issue. Finances, I think, is the second common reason why people divorce. So we know that in the United States, half of all marriages will end in divorce, and half of those people will divorce because of finances. The first reason is because of infidelity, cheating, but then finances. And that is because it is a toxic trait that I'm going to say is very common in Black people. I'm talking about Black people because if you just join me, this is National Black and Indigenous People Awareness Month for mental health. I know I just messed that up, but it's mental health awareness for Black and Indigenous people. And so the topic tonight is save your, well, I was about to say save your drama for your mama, but that too. The topic is your trauma is not my drama. I can't let it be. I cannot. So communication can also be from trauma, right? So say your drama. So communication is also a trait, a toxic trait. If you grew up in a house that was, the way you handled your anger is, you cursed or you carried on or you whatever. That is a toxic trait, trauma, right? Because I think sometimes if you come from a parent who put fear into you or threats into you when they they come in the house. And Funky Dineva in his when he talked about this, he said he never saw his mom smile. Like she was never in a good mood. She came home from work, she was angry. She went to bed, she was angry. If she got upset, she cursed out whoever was in her presence. Now, that caused him some trauma because he said he always like feared her. Like, I don't want to make her even more upset or angry. So that was a trauma for him that he learned and carried into his own adult life. And as a result, like you said, I lost friendships, I lost relationships with people, I lost jobs because I did not know how to communicate with people. I would just cuss people out because he learned that, traumatized through that behavior when he was a kid himself. So then he made it drama for everybody that was around him. Having negative relationships. If you are in a relationship with somebody who has unresolved trauma that they have never dealt with, it's going to come out some way, somehow. And how is it going to look for you being in a relationship with them? It's going to be drama. If you're with somebody who never resolved being raped, or someone who hasn't resolved being abandoned by their parents, that's going to look a certain way in a relationship. Will they be too clingy in a relationship? Will they accuse you of cheating because they don't trust? That is the trauma that they experience. They make it drama in your life as their partner. So you want to make sure that you're not in a relationship with somebody who has unresolved trauma. It's like when you go on when you're first getting to know someone, you have to ask those questions. And sometimes you can pick things up, like, someone says, I was raised by my grandmother. Okay, that's really a heavy question. Okay, you were raised by your grandmother. What happened? What stopped your parents from raising you? You know what I mean? So within that, I'll tell you that abandonment of a parent is traumatic. It is trauma for a child. And so now they've never dealt with this unresolved trauma, and now they want to be in a relationship with you. And is that going to be drama in the relationship because they didn't experience having their own parent them? And how did that make them feel? Do they have low self-worth because of it? Do they have abandonment issues? So I'm not saying that people with unresolved trauma can't live a healthy lifestyle, because they can. However, they need to address the unresolved trauma. They really do. In order to limit the amount of drama that they're going to have in their life, their unrest in their life. You didn't have your parents, and now you have 5 children by 5 different women, a man. Like, you didn't have your parent, and now you're repeating that cycle, because you cannot be a good father, an excellent father to 5 children with 5 different mothers and they're not living in the same house. So then how do you direct your time and all of that? So that's that's another that's just an example. Negative relationships. He talked about not allowing people to love you. Not allowing people to love you. So you have this trauma that you've experienced in your life of maybe, not having, difficulty having a relationship with someone. And so you are a very bad boyfriend, or you're a very bad girlfriend, for whatever the reasons are. Thank you, Jeanette. Okay. Be careful, Jeanette, now. So you're in a relationship with someone, and they're cheating. They're constantly cheating on you. And so that's dramatic. Like, that is so much drama when you're in a relationship with somebody and you really trying to love this person, and you are constantly catching them cheating. It's that level of disrespect. And you're wondering, like, why? I'm doing everything that I think I should be doing as your partner, but you continue to cheat on me. So it is not, in most cases, it is not even about you. But when you think about the cheating man, and we have that in the Black community, and I don't want to believe that this is true, because I don't know the statistics, but that Black men are cheaters. I remember a time when I was saying that Black men, they're no good. Even though I grew up with a Black father who, was faithful to my mother, was good to my mom, good to us, I picked that narrative up from what they were saying in the world, that Black men were no good, even though I saw good Black men all around me. So probably in my 20s, I picked up that narrative and started to believe it. Like, there are no good Black men. Where are all the good Black men? It was like we were actually saying that, which was so disrespectful to Black men, because there are many, many wonderful Black men who want to honor and do honor their relationships that they're in. And then there are some that don't. And oftentimes it is because of the trauma that they have experienced as little boys. And so they bring that into the relationship and they make it your drama. So it's nothing worse than being a woman and wondering where your man is, wondering what he's up to, or getting a phone call that, he's in a relationship with someone else. And it's a repeated behavior, right? You forgive him, he comes back, he has poor communication skills, he has negative relationships, he has a history of negative relationships. And if he was to go into treatment to figure out, and I work with several, not a lot of Black men, because Black men don't go into therapy, but working with Black men in therapy, oftentimes what got them there was past trauma, something that they experienced in their childhood that led them to the therapy room, that led them into a divorce, led them into domestic violence, led them into whatever, being a part of a gang or something like that. It was unresolved childhood trauma, and trying to figure out how to unlearn toxic traits that we pick up in our families, that we pick up from whoever raised us, not knowing the difference, not knowing, because that's all you grew up understanding, that if I have a problem with somebody, this is how we resolve it. If if I don't have enough money to pay a bill, then I'll just give them $10 on the bill, or wait for, right before it's about to get turned off, then I'll worry about it. I've seen that so many times working with Black families, in the community, and they'll wait until like tomorrow they're coming to turn off your water. What have you done up until then? Well, it's learned behavior. Well, this is the way my mom handled it, right? She waited until the man came to turn off the water. Then she went to get help to try to figure out how to get the water turned back on. So it's unlearning negative behaviors, so that your past trauma is not in your current life and creating drama in your current life, and being able to resolve your trauma so you don't pass that on to your children. Thank you. Can everyone like the live? Thank you, Linda. So how do we do that? Well, I would say, of course, I'm going to say therapy. Therapy will help to do that. If you're in a relationship with somebody, don't think that you can fix it, because you probably won't be able to. You can try. I think, it comes from an understanding. You like another example. I don't know if some of us had people in our life, grandparents, aunties, whatever, especially, I don't know, I don't think Southern people did this, but let's just say you grew up in a house where you weren't free to go in the refrigerator. Like you just couldn't just go and grab something to eat out the refrigerator. And now you're an adult with your own refrigerator, and you didn't like it when you were a kid, but you pass that on to your children, and you're continuing that behavior, even though you know how it made you feel, and now you're passing it on to your children. It's an unlearned negative behavior. How do you change it? Well, sometimes you just change it. You just say, I didn't like the way that made me feel. I couldn't go in the refrigerator when I was younger, for whatever reason. And I just didn't like it. And I want my kids to feel like if they want something to eat, go get it out the refrigerator. So it's things like that. If you can fix something like that, you can fix other toxic behaviors. so that your past trauma is not drama in your current life. You can fix it, you can change it. You just have to recognize that this is not what you want. This is not what I want. This is not the way I want to live. I don't want to live and be a part of a marriage where, even though, someone, you watch your mom be in a toxic relationship and you say to yourself, I'm never going to do that. I would never accept that. And then you find yourself in the same type of toxic relationship because you learn negative behaviors and then you repeat them. And now you are literally living the same life that you hated for your mom. Because in watching your mom being disrespected, traumatized you in a lot of ways. And then you bring that into your relationship. And now you're living that drama again. Where is he? I can't find him. He cheating again. Women calling you, coming to your house. That whole cycle of disrespect that you watched as a kid is now being repeated for you. So how do you fix that? Is the first thing is to recognize, like, I think I got some unresolved trauma because I keep getting into the same negative type relationships. I keep, having these issues with money. I filed bankruptcy twice, or as soon as I get my check, I'm already, broke. Same kind of thing, I watch, my mom do, not being able to balance her finances. All trying to unlearn these negative behaviors, this trauma, so that you don't have this drama in your life. Relationships with other people, just friendships in general, learning how to be a good friend. Like I was saying, Funky Dineva is where I got this idea from. And he said one thing that he struggled with, and I think I did say it in the beginning, is how to be a good friend to people. He talked about he just didn't understand how to do that because he watched the women in his life backstab each other, talk about each other, gossip about each other. And he thought that's the way friendships were supposed to be. That's what you do in a friendship. And so he said that, people would tell him a secret, like, whatever you do, don't tell anybody this. This is like, I'm getting an abortion tomorrow. Please don't tell anybody, And before the person was even out of his sight, he said he was telling anybody and everybody, not being a good friend, not being a good friend to people. That's, and so he needed to unlearn that negative trait. Like, how do I be a good person or a good friend? Being loyal to people, having that level of respect for each other. If you watch people around you never show that, then how are you going to show it to somebody? You're not. You're not going to know how to be a friend. Or if you are a friend, excuse me, if you are a friend, your friendships are, you expect something in return. So if I'm your friend, these are the things that you need to do for me. So I'm gonna need some things back if you're gonna be my friend. And then if you're not, then I'm gonna cut you right off. I'm gonna cut you right at your knees. I'm gonna talk about you. I'm gonna do all kinds of foul shit to you because I've already learned this toxic trait. And so from my trauma, I'm gonna make it your drama. And so we gotta be able to see the red flags in people, because they're gonna show you. They definitely gonna show you that they have some toxic traits. And so if you go into a friendship thinking you're gonna be able to fix it, good luck. You are setting yourself up. And if you go into a relationship and think you're going to fix it and they're going to change just because you got a big butt and a smile, they are not. Um, People who have experienced real trauma, or have to unlearn toxic traits need to be able to do that, I think, with somebody who can really help them to navigate that, a real skilled clinician. Now, not everybody is going to need that. Not everybody. Some people are going to say, I know my mother was wrong. I know my father was wrong. I'm not going to live like that. You can't change people. You just cannot. I'm not going to do that. And they don't repeat none of those negative behaviors. They just don't do it. They live a life not like the one that they were raised in. And so not everybody is going to continue that dysfunctional pattern, right? They're not, everybody's going to continue that. But we don't want to let other people's trauma turn into our drama. So that's it. That's all. That was the subject for tonight. And yes, I got that from Funky Dineva. I thought that was a good topic, especially for Black people and mental health and trying to learn how to unlearn some negative things that some things are like community, like just kind of like these community guidelines that we all experience as Black people, no matter what part of the country you live in. We just experience it. Even Black people who are, African or live in the Bahamas or St. Thomas, we have this commonality about us. I don't care where we live. We have some very common traits that we all share. And sometimes it's negative unlearning some negative traits that we don't want to continue. And so, yes, that is it. That is all. Linda has said it in the chat, and we are good for tonight. So thank you, everyone that stopped in. And if you're watching this in the replay, thank you for watching it. Please comment, share, and like. And also, if you have a what was I going to say? Oh, if you have a topic that you want me to bring up, I can do that. So at this point, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. So good night, everybody. Thank you.